guys, how's it going? So today we're gonna switch things up a little bit. I'm gonna be working on a decorating project, but it's not for something here at our house. It's for the church that Aaron and I go to. And for those of you who have been watching our videos for quite a while now, you might remember the last time that I decorated the stage area. It's been, I think, 3 Christmases ago, and it was such a fun project. I did this big, I wanted it to look like a painting, like an older painting, and it was a nativity silhouette. And then I built a big chunky gold frame. I feel like there's a bug on my face. Is there a bug on my face? Whew, I feel like something was crawling on me. Anyway, so it was a big chunky gold frame, and then I did some living arrangements kind of down below it with Arctic Fire dogwood and some evergreens and berries and things like that. And so it's been a while since I've done that space. I had a little idea a couple months ago, and I've been slowly working on it. You can kind of see it behind me. Just kind of prototyping and seeing if my idea would actually work. So this is going to be a multi-day video because I'm gonna have to film it like that because I have to do a step and wait for it to dry, and then do another step and wait for it to dry. So anyway, we're gonna get started today. Let me show you first off my drawing. And this was like in September when I thought, ooh, I need to do this. So I drew it out real quick. It's kind of crude, but here we go. So this is it right here. I want to keep it kind of simple. The stage is actually a lot bigger, so it actually comes out on both sides, but there's usually like a drum set here, a keyboard right here. The podium thing is usually like out here. The stage is kind of deep, so this is definitely a crude drawing. But I wanted to build 3 Gothic arch frame windows, hang wreaths in them with like some red ribbon, so there's a little pop of color. And then I'm going to use some of my Christmas trees from here at the house. So I'm actually decorating fewer Christmas trees in my house this year. And then I want to hang a bunch of glittery snowflakes from the ceiling, which that's going to be the hardest part, I think. So overall it's pretty simple, but the process on these windows has been a little bit interesting. So my initial thought was to go to a discount lumber store that we have in a nearby town and buy 3 big like solid wood doors and then cut my Gothic arch frame windows out of those doors. But then I got to thinking, like, one, it's probably still going to be a little bit spendy, and it's going to be heavy, and I don't really want to hang such heavy things from the wall again. So what can I do to make it lighter weight? And enter foam board. So I decided to try it out with this 2-inch foam insulation board that you can pick up at Home Depot. You can see I've already cut out. We've got actually windows in multiple stages here. This was my very first one, so you can get an idea. I'm not super happy with it. This was my prototype. So this is actually not one I'm going to be using, but I was using different kinds of cutting techniques. Like I tried a foam melter first, which was not the way to go. And this whole window was cut out with a foam melter. It took me probably 8 hours to cut out all of these things. And I did that late at night. So usually when Benjamin goes down is when I can do like any kind of project that takes me forever. I just put movies on my phone, and I watched a ton of movies and just sat there and melted foam until like 1 or 2 in the morning with all the windows open downstairs, so any kind of fumes. But anyway, so I figured out along the way that cutting it with a jigsaw was a better way to go. You get a pretty clean cut. I just figured it was gonna like make a really rough cut, and I needed it to be smooth, so I learned something there. And then I didn't, like with the foam cutter, it's easy to like tip the foam melter in a way to where it doesn't actually give you a straight cut, so your wood kind of, or your wood looks kind of twisted in a way. But it was nice because I was able to experiment with finishes. So let me show you this one. This is actually going to be my main window right here, and it looks good. It's not perfection, but I'm not really going for like 100% perfection because I need to look older. But I did make sure, like, I got the level out. I've got it right there. And I like made sure, it's sitting kind of weird on the ground right now, but I made sure all of these were level so that when I hang it, it'll look good. And then what I use, which I'll show you when we go back inside, I'm using something called plastic wood for my finish here. I use a putty knife to apply it, and it's just this stuff that you can like put in holes or like scratches on wood, and it fills it up, and it's stainable. And that's the only reason why I'm using it, is because I can stain it to make it look more wood-like. And if you take the time to really like put a nice thick layer of it on and sand it really carefully, you actually get a wood grain, which I decided along the way it wasn't worth the time to put in or the amount of wood putty to use, because I'm trying to keep this somewhat on the cheap. Like each one of these windows, in the end, let me think real quick. Each window is between $40 and $45. all done. That's pretty cheap for a window this size. That includes the wood putty, the foam board, and the stain. So yeah, I decided that just doing a light sand just to take off any rough edges and not worrying about getting any kind of wood grain wasn't a big deal, because these are going to be set way back on the stage and everybody sits pretty far away from them, so they wouldn't be able to see that detail anyway. So that one has obviously been cut and wood puttied, and it's dry and ready to stain. Then I've got this next one. Let me see if I can get this propped up next to this, or somewhat next to this. Hold on. Okay, there's obviously going to be space in between each one of these, but the other two flanking this big window are shorter and 6 inches skinnier. So what I did here is I measured out my entire outer area is 3 inches. All the interior, I don't know what you call these pieces, are 2 inches. I don't know what to call those. So 3-inch border, 2 inches on the inside. I think that the proportions look pretty good that way. And it was a beast to like measure. You can see all of my lines. Look at this. I was so frustrated. One night I just like quit because I was just so frustrated. I couldn't get it to look right. And then I ended up having to like really scribble on the areas to keep, because, you know, it'd be easy to accidentally cut the wrong, you know, the wrong stuff and have to start all over. So anyway, I've got it to a point now where I can take this one, lay it on top of my last piece of foam board, and trace it out. No more measuring for me. So I'm gonna do that real quick. I'm gonna lay the foam board out here on the ground and get this traced, and then we'll cut it, and I'll show you how I do that. Dang it, I got it all set up and I realized I forgot a permanent marker. Gotta go grab one. I got my outline done. So now I'm gonna take this stake, because it's straight, and I'm just gonna darken up and straighten up any of the lines that got a little bit wavy, because that happens. I'm cutting them out with a jigsaw and it's still not a perfect process. So anyway, we'll do the best we can and straighten these up. So I'm standing them up next to each other just so I can size compare, make sure that they look pretty even. I did go through, there's my darkened and straightened up lines. I couldn't do it up here just because those aren't lines I can make with a ruler. I'll just have to be really careful when I'm cutting them out with the jigsaw to go slow and cut them out smoothly. Now I'm just gonna get it set up so I can start cutting it out. And this is the tool I'm gonna be using to cut out my window. This is a jigsaw right here. It works really nicely. It does make a little bit of a mess, like this kind of stuff will come off. But in the end, it's a pretty smooth cut. So here we go. They look awesome. I'm so happy with how they came out. This one is of course a lot easier than this one, because this one I had to measure. This one I got to trace. It looks like I need to take a little bit more off that right there. See how it's kind of coming out a little bit? So I'll fix that quick, but these are ready to go inside for the plastic wood part, which I'll show you here in a minute. But while we're still out here in the barn, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the sanding and staining portion of this project, because this one's ready for that. So basically all I'm gonna do is lay this window down on top of the Gorilla cardigan. I'm gonna give it a light sand, just with, I've got a plug-in sander, just to take any like loose, or I don't know, there's like, I don't know if you can see right in here, like that kind of, right there, that kind of stuff. We'll get rid of that just to smooth it out a bit. And then I've got my stain already out here, and I just brush it on. Let's see. This is it right here in all its glory. This is a Minwax wood finish in the color Espresso. So the background where these are going is kind of a medium gray color, so I wanted them to be pretty dark so that the contrast is really nice. So we'll start with that, and then like on this one I kind of messed around with using like some gold paint to just kind of give it a little bit of dimension, and I may do that with this one, but maybe not quite as heavy as I did on this first one. So Anyway, let's start this process so that we can go back inside. It's kind of chilly out here. So I've already gone over this area a little bit here, but I wanted to give you kind of a before and after of what this looks like. So you can see like it's very rough, and I'm not looking at getting it super smooth. I just want to take the edge off. And I'm using this electric sander. We haven't invested in the DeWalt battery operated one yet. So I'm running off of a big old extension cord that goes over there and then goes all the way over into the other side of the garage. And there's our after. Just took those little snaggy pieces off and made it nice and smooth. So the first one is all stained. It just needs to sit out here and dry for a little while, and you can see that it's looking pretty shiny and dark because it's wet, but it dries quite a bit lighter because I use the same color of stain over there on that window. And then I'll probably be taking a closer look at it later after it's dry, and I'll do any touch-ups if necessary. It's kind of amazing. I calculated my time on the first window that I was prototyping where I didn't know what I was doing, and I have about 12 hours into that thing right there. As opposed to once I got it figured out and I figured out that I could cut it with a jigsaw rather than a foam melter, I have about between 2 and 3 hours in this big window, and about the same for the 2 smaller windows, I'm guessing, in the end. So probably a total of about 9 hours for 3 windows once I had it all figured out. So now I need to take these 2 smaller windows inside and do the plastic wood part. So let's head in there. So I just set the window on our kitchen island because it's at the perfect height for me. And this is what I use. This is called plastic wood. Let me show you what it looks like inside. See, I already used out of this one a little bit. And it's just kind of like this putty stuff that you spread over the surface of the window. Something I kind of figured out along the way is that it's very helpful to have a spray bottle nearby because it makes the putty a lot more spreadable. And it's probably not the proper way to do it, but I spray some water inside the tub and kind of moisten the top layer of the putty and kind of like mix it around with my putty knife, and then I spread it on the window, and then sometimes I actually spray the whole window, and then it just makes it smooth out so much easier, and it makes the plastic wood stretch a lot further. And since I'm not like trying to actually use this properly to like fill holes in any kind of furniture, I just need to like have the fascia be nice enough to stain. I'm not worried about putting a super thick layer on. So let me get a close-up of what it looks like to spread this on, and then I'm just going to tackle this. Now, you might notice I did not put any protective anything down on my island. It's because this putty comes up super easy with just a wet rag. It doesn't leave any residue or anything like that, and it's much easier just to work straight on the flat surface rather than putting like a piece of plastic, like garbage bag or whatever, down, because then the door sticks to it and it wants to move it all over the place, and it's just a pain. So anyway, let me show you a close-up, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and tackle this window. I'll let it sit here until it's dry. So usually like it'll take till tomorrow, because you can see all of the junk left on here from the window I just stained. I did that one last night. So I'll let this one sit, then I'll have to do the next window tomorrow night. And that's why this video is gonna take so long, because I have so many different steps. Okay, so first off, a little bit of water in the tub. And then I just kind of squish the stuff around. Okay, it's like kind of a thick, creamy consistency. That's what it looks like right there. And then we're just gonna squish it onto the window. And that's essentially how it's done. It's pretty easy. I'm gonna put on a movie, probably The Holiday, and I will just work on this. Benjamin's napping right now. In fact, between staining and doing this, Benjamin and I went down to the garden center because the holiday open house is going on right now. So we took a little break and went and visited my family who's down there. But I can see Benjamin in the camera. He's just messing around in his crib right now. Hopefully I'll get this done before he's actually up. So now I just need to let this one sit and dry, and it'll just stay here probably overnight, and then I will start the second one. So at this point, the process is just gonna be exactly the same as the window we just finished in the barn. As soon as this window's dry, I'll do the second one with the plastic wood, and when that one's dry, we'll take them both out to the barn, sand them, stain them, and then they're essentially done unless I decide to put some other kind of finish on them, and if I do that, I will show you. Other than that, I just have to gather up everything else and then start decorating. So anyway, I will be picking up this project in just a couple of days. I'm actually in the middle of another project, and I knew I would have a few minutes to get the windows, which are all done, brought up here to the church. So I kind of strapped them in. They're not even quite dry yet, but strapped them in with some string, both in the back and in the front, and then just drove super slow. So now I'm just gonna get them unloaded. Okay, so I just have them sat here for now. I need to hang them up here later on this week and get all my Christmas trees set up, but I'm really happy with how they're looking. This one still needs to dry a little bit. Dang. All right guys, so we're at the church now. I've got a lot of the props here, and we're just going to start setting up tonight. In fact, my parents are here. I bribed them by ordering in some pizza, and Aaron and Benjamin are both here. So we're going to set up trees, get the windows hung, and kind of just look at the space and decide what else we need to do, because I did want to hang a bunch of snowflakes from the ceiling, but I've got to figure out exactly the best way to do it. So let me turn the camera around and kind of give you just a little pre-tour of the area. Okay, so I kind of want to start back here so you can kind of get an idea. There's all the chairs. There's a big section right to my left. It's a pretty deep room. There are my windows right there. I set up one tree real quick. Aaron had to run home and get a camera card because I forgot mine, so I did that while he was gone. I've got to fluff the branches out. But it's a pretty big stage area. It's really tall. This is where the words go up on Sunday mornings during worship time. And then this is where my father-in-law stands to teach. And you guys might remember this fabric from a few years ago when I decorated for Christmas. We hung that fabric and then did some arrangements out of these containers. Those containers are really heavy. In fact, let me just show you, like when you stand up next to them, this is the scale. Like look at my hand, look how huge these pots are. I'm actually gonna pop some Christmas trees in them. So the idea is to do a grouping of Christmas trees on each side, and then the windows in the center with wreaths on each window, and then snowflakes all the way up and around, just for some real nice glitter. The only thing I'm not really positive about are the snowflakes. It might end up to where I just hang them over the trees kind of on the sides. I'm just not sure how to do it up here. I don't know. I think it'll take having to get into the project to really figure it out, and that's what tonight's about, is just to kind of get the big stuff up, and then I'll worry about the fluff later on this week. So now I'm gonna go have some pizza, and then we're gonna start in. Oh, hey baby. Are you having some pizza? I told him I bribed you guys with pizza.
That's right. That's right. Gather our strength.
That's right.
She walks with on sure.
Well, I can see it, but
By the way, it's like 5 feet.
Benjamin's got the camera. Benjamin, hey, buddy.
You good?
Yeah. Hey, we're trying to capture this project, bud. Okay, so the hardest part's done. The windows are up. which I never usually cut anything out perfectly. Like you can see that there are some differences between the windows. Well, of course we've got the bigger one, but like up top, I don't use a projector or anything, so I never usually get it exact. So we just have to kind of hang them based on how it looks from our eye. And we're dealing with a lot of lines here. Here's the crew. We have the middle of the room is designated by this line right here. Yes, thank you, Erin. And so we try to line the podium up with that, and then the middle window up with the podium. But you can see we're dealing with all these other lines going on. Makes it incredibly hard to get it looking right. Anyway, I think we got it. So I need to go get 2 more wreaths. I only bought the one just to make sure it was the right size, and we'll put a big red ribbon in that to bring a pop of color. And now we just have to work on trees and snowflakes. Woohoo! So Aaron's parents just arrived. They're playing with Benjamin, and they brought the other 9-foot tree. They just went and picked one up so that we'll have an even amount of trees. I only had one 9-foot at home, so I think we're gonna call it good for tonight. Let me show you how far we got. So I don't have any of the trees lit. I tried them all out though. Every single one of them works except for this one. So I'll have to bring some lights. I decided that it would look prettiest to put the wreath in the middle and keep the outer windows open so that we didn't, if we had 3 wreaths, I think it would be too much evergreen going on. And I do want the detail of the windows to shine through. So I still have yet to put a red bow right there. And then I'll put the snow fluff out tomorrow as soon as I have a chance to come in. You can see all the holes in the trees. I need to fluff all of these trees. I didn't spend any time trying to make them look good, so we'll do that tomorrow. And the last thing to consider are the snowflakes. So let me show you what they look like. Let me grab one. So this is what the snowflakes look like right here. I was gonna hang a bunch of them above the trees and windows, kind of like in an arch. And so I still am thinking about that. It's just so pretty and simple right now that I don't know if I want to take it over the top. And I think if I did a couple thousand of these, which is what I was initially thinking, it might just look like too much. And I don't know if I really want to go that route this time. I think I want to keep it just like homey and cozy because I don't know. I think all of this looks big enough for this area. There's still a lot of, design going on with the windows. So anyway, I'll think on that for the next day or two and we'll see what happens. So anyway, we're gonna call it good for tonight. All right guys, so Benjamin just went down for his nap. I'm heading back up to the church for what I think is going to be the last time I'll be up there for decorating. I think I'm gonna be able to get it all done today. First, I have to go to Joann's and pick up some more like drapey ribbon. I bought some thick red velvet ribbon, but it's wired, and I kind of want the bow on the wreath to be really drapey and kind of loose looking. So I'm gonna go up there and see what I can find, and then we're gonna head to the church and finish up. So I think this is what I need. This is unwired red satin ribbon. So I'm back here at the church. I'm gonna wait to turn on the stage lights until I have all the lights done. I tend to like to work on lights when it's a little bit dimmer because I can see the placement of them a little bit better. And I only have to work on this one right here. So a little bit of lights came on the bottom, but the rest of it was all the lights were dead. So I'm going to relight this tree. I bought 2 boxes of lights today to do that. And then on the rest of the trees, I've got to fluff out all the branches and make them look nice and full, but all the lights we're working on those. So I'm thankful for that. And then we'll get a bow made. So let me show you what I picked up for today. So we've got our ribbon here. I did pick up 2 spools of it just in case. Like that was probably an overreaction because this has 21 feet of ribbon. I don't need that for one bow, but I'm always kind of like an over-prepared type of person. We've got some paddle wire to make the bows. I've got a Sharpie and a stain stick so I could repair some scuffs on the windows, and then I like to paint over the tops of the screws because they're silver and I don't want those to shine. And then the 2 boxes of lights for my one tree. So I am just gonna get after it. It just started raining outside. Can you hear it? Oh, I love it. Such a peaceful sound. Oh, yay. I'm so excited to see rain. I feel like I've got the trees fluffed pretty well. I did realize, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but my tree, my 9-footer, has very pink toned lights compared to the other ones. Not that it matters that much, but I do think I'm going to grab a couple of strands just to kind of fill in some spaces because it's not as well lit as the other one and I want it to look fairly balanced, but I can do that later. So now I'm going to work on the snow fluff. I've got 3.5 bags per side. So I'm just going to work on kind of separating this stuff up, fluffing it up, just to soften the floor and bring a little bit of weight down. Then we'll work on the red bow. Snow fluff is kind of done. I need to fuss with that. Boy, I'm gonna probably spend a lot of time fussing with this, but you get the general idea. Alright guys, so I think I'm done. I think I've decided to quit while I'm ahead. I think it looks simple and peaceful and reverent without a ton of extra color. I think that one little pop of red is really nice in the center. I thought about adding red Christmas ornaments into the trees, but I think that that would distract. I think having that one focal is really nice, and there's enough detail just in the windows themselves and of course all of the trees with all the pretty lights that I am just really happy with it. And I always sweat bullets when I decide to tackle a project of this scale because you never know what it's going to look like until you get it up on the stage or up on the wall. It's like this with garden planning too. You know, we get this vision in our minds and we put it down on paper, so we've got this beautiful plan drawn out, but then you start putting it into action and you think something's not quite right here. Like I need to manipulate this or take something out or add something in, and that's kind of how these projects go. You kind of start with kind of your basic vision and then you can either add or subtract depending on how it's going. But I'm just really thrilled with this. I'm thrilled with the windows. That's something that I will probably utilize, like knowing how to work with foam board and finish it to where it looks kind of like wood, I think is a useful thing to take on into the future, especially if I decide to do more stuff like this. And I think that working down at the garden center and doing displays has helped me so much with stuff like this. It doesn't make me quite as scared. I remember when I very first started displaying things down at Andrews, I was very nervous, and I was I did stuff very small because I just didn't want to, mess it up. And so over the years, you gain confidence and you think, well, it's just a display like this. I mean, honestly, this is not what Christmas is about right here. The decorations are all fun. It makes it feel festive, but in the end, it's not what really matters. So I don't know. I think over the years you just kind of start realizing that, and then that helps build your confidence. And I'm totally rambling at this point, but I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, seeing this project come together. You were kind of with me from almost the very beginning, after I kind of muddled my way through the first window, the first 12 hours of making windows. I did on my own, so you guys didn't have to witness that portion. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys are enjoying your holiday season. Bye. One more thing, let's turn the lights down and see what it looks like. Look at how pretty that is. We have a Christmas Eve candlelight service every year, and so this whole sanctuary will be filled with people holding candles. The lights will be down and you'll get to see the glow of the lights on the stage. So wonderful.